It is an honor to be giving this May 2012 commencement address at Francis Marion University. In the words of Charles M. Schulz, try not to have a good time. This is supposed to be educational. Yet, as sung by British boy band and pop phenomenon The Wanted, I'm glad you came. And to our graduates, I'm especially glad you've made it here today, though perhaps not quite as happy as you and your parents. Congratulations on making it through these past 4 years, or 5 years, or 6. When President Carter first announced 9 months ago that I would be commencement speaker, several thoughts immediately went through my mind, most of them 4-letter words. A couple of semesters later, though, I've calmed down, and I truly feel privileged to be standing here. I'm particularly pleased to have members of my family here who have been so supportive through the years. My sisters Joy and Judy and their families. Thank you for being here today on what just struck me this morning is my father's, or would have been my father's, 79th birthday. My sister Joy is already crying. Again, welcome to you all. It's been a long time since a faculty member has given the commencement address at Francis Marion. I believe it was about 25 years ago that Professor Emeritus Julia Krebs was one of the last few faculty members to deliver an address. Dr. Krebs, however, was only given 6 days' notice. So I am grateful for having been given 9 months. 9 months, as it were, to gestate and give birth to this address. On the topic of birth, I offer to you graduates a passage from the play Waiting for Godot. Astride of a grave and a difficult birth, down in the hole, lingeringly, the gravedigger puts on the forceps. We have time to grow old. The air is full of our cries, but habit is a great deadener. When I teach Introduction to Theater, at the end of each semester, I usually show this play. I feel it is my duty to prepare my students for the bleak, hopeless existence that awaits them. These words, spoken by Dee in Samuel Beckett's play, accomplish that goal quite well. Astride of a grave and a difficult birth. The image of the gravedigger holding the forceps and delivering a child directly into the grave is a powerful image and reminds us, as another character says, the light gleams but an instant. So graduates, today we cut your educational umbilical cord and drop you into the real world. But don't forget, as Beckett reminds you, that your time on this earth is but an instant, and that ultimately everything you do is merely distracting you from the tragic inevitability that awaits us all. Just as I'm here to distract you for the next 10 minutes, or 15, or 20. Since President Carter surprised me with his announcement, I've been doing a lot of research, watching and reading a variety of graduation speeches. And after a strenuous selection process, I now have a checklist of items that tradition suggests should serve as the best distractions in this ceremony. And here it is. On this list are many rather obvious inclusions. Humor, of course, is important. Inspiration, certainly. A heartfelt moment or two. I can already check off welcome, funny quote, literary reference. Oh look, here's the item that is probably number 1 on most of your lists, brevity. Therefore, in conclusion, I'm kidding. As our graduates know, professors at Francis Marion are used to talking for 50 minutes or 75 minutes. So, on to the list. Let me first mention how lucky you graduates are to have attended Francis Marion University under the leadership of President Carter, Provost Chapman, and our Board of Trustees. In times that have been very challenging for academies of higher learning across the country and in this state, this administration has protected this university from many of the hardships faced by other institutions. As a result, you still have one of the lowest tuitions in this state and great morale among faculty and students. We have the people up here on this stage to thank for that. And it is an honor to receive this degree from Francis Marion, and it has been a privilege to serve as faculty chair. Brown nosing, check. And now on to the most important piece of advice I have to offer to you graduates. Seriously, it is imperative that you pay close attention to this injunction. Use your turn signal. There's a reason the turn signal is also called an indicator. Your willingness to use this device indicates your desire to move with the flow of the world rather than expecting the world to navigate around you. You do not have the right to get upset about life's impediments if you're unnecessarily impeding others. Driving as life metaphor, check. And while we were on the topic of driving, do not drink and drive. Joking aside, do not do this ever. All life is sacred. Don't endanger yourself or others. This is a time for celebration, however, but as you do, party responsibly. And may the 5th be with you. Pun, check. Also, do not text and drive. It's just as dangerous as drinking and driving. If you do it now, break the habit. And thirdly, do not drink and text. Seriously. All those texts you're sending, they're out there in cyberspace just waiting for you to apply for a job, run for office, or get your own reality show. Alcohol warning, check. Text warning, check. Those are things you should definitely not do. But now that you are a college graduate, there are also things that you'll simply no longer be able to do because you are now too refined and too educated to feel comfortable doing so. For example, you will no longer be able to watch Jersey Shore. Some of you may feel obligated to remove from your pickup that set of stainless steel bull testicles. And you will find it physically painful to put your hands in the air. And perhaps most frightening, you will find your vocal cords simply do not work when you attempt to ask your parents for money. So you'll have to text them, but only when sober. Parents, money, check. On the subject of money, avoid debt, a personal lesson many of us here have learned, at all costs. You may have borrowed to pay for this education. Make repaying that loan a priority. This is a world in which it is entirely too easy to borrow money, and there is no larger distraction from living your life than a large financial burden. So ask yourself, do I really need this? What is your ideal future? Do you want a relationship, a family, a career, cats? Cats, check. Take a few minutes each day and visualize exactly what you want out of life. If you want fame, visualize the kind of fame that would make you happy. If you want wealth, then imagine all the things that you would be able to buy that would make you happy. And then ask yourself, what will be different then? Exactly what is it in that ideal future you have created that will make you happy? There's nothing available in that future that is not available to you now. There's no magic potion for happiness in the future. And creating a future ideal in your mind is just a thought distracting you from this present moment. You do not want to reach the end of your life expressing the same sentiment as Shakespeare's Richard II. I wasted time, and now time doth waste me. Check. Shakespeare. We cannot foretell the future. What is the right path for you? What if you find yourself on the wrong path? How will you know? Well, I can help you out here. There is no wrong path. There is only one path, and it is the one on which you stand and on which you move forward. You create the path as you move forward. So let go of expectation about what the path should be, about what should be around the next turn, about where the path may end. Ultimately, just as Dee Dee in Go-Go in Waiting for Godot, you have two options. You can remain where you are, or you can move. As Beckett said, habit is a great deadener. It is so much easier to stay where we are comfortable, to do what we have always done. If you are happy, there is no shame in maintaining the status quo. If, however, you find yourself unhappy at any point, you always have a choice. At the end of Beckett's tragicomedy, Dee Dee and Go-Go say, "Yes, let's go." And then as the curtain falls, they do not move. A few years after Waiting for Godot, Beckett wrote the play Endgame. In Endgame, Clive and Ham and two other characters are trapped in a small empty room with two small windows that look out on a barren, unfriendly landscape. Ham is blind and cannot walk and is dependent on Clive. Ham abuses Clive because he knows Clive will not leave because of the desolate wasteland that awaits him outside. At the end of the play, though, a curious thing happens. Clive, in his last speech, says of his current predicament, "Good, it'll never end. I'll never go." And then just a few sentences later, he says, "I open the door of the cell and go. It's easy going. And when I fall, I'll weep for happiness." Unlike Dee Dee and Go-Go, Clive chooses to face the unknown, no matter how frightening or bleak it may appear, rather than to continue in his current unhappy situation. Boring section, check. It's not always easy, though. That first step can be difficult, but as the great sage Yoda proffered, do or do not, there is no try. Carrot for the geeks, check. And that's mostly what I have to say to you, graduates. Well, I'm not done with the list, though. So let me finish with this one piece of advice. This is your moment to follow your passion. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. So be true to yourself and make a difference. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. Cake, cake, cake. Guys, I'm bringing the party to you as you spread your wings and fly over the world that is your oyster. Winter is coming. Now it's your time to be whatever you want to be, living young, wild, and free. But you must walk before you can ride, and you ain't afraid to show it. Starships were meant to fly. Hands up and touch the sky like it's dynamite. Cake, cake, birthday cake. Suke! Life is a roller coaster, and may the odds be ever in your favor. This ain't no drive-by. This is the first day of the rest of your life. Winter is coming. This is the part of me that you're never, ever going to take away from me. Defying gravity, reaching for the stars, which is about the journey, not one door closing while another one opens to a new chapter. Tonight, we are young, so let's set the world on fire. Cake, cake, cake. Set fire to the rain. You don't stop believing you're sexy, and you know it. You've got to fight for your right to go forth and carpe diem, whatever makes you feel like a rock star. That's what she said. Cliches, popular song lyrics, obscure literary satire, pop culture, big finish, check. One final quote from Samuel Beckett. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again. Fail again. And fail better. Venture forth, graduates. Unafraid to fail and willing to fail better. Thank you.